Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We are now back down in Tennessee. Touchdown down here about 2:30. Tim, we got the luggage. They you know how it is, man. They dragged the luggage out there on the belt. We're missing two wheels on a $200 piece of luggage. I was like, oh, this is one of the literally fabric hanging out of it. I don't know. It looked like somebody went out there with a curb saw or something. Just went to town.
They threw it in a wood chipper or something?
I'm telling you, man. We pissed somebody off along the way, evidently. But anyway, it's great to be back home. And, man, what a weekend. What a weekend. It was absolutely awesome. I thought we were going to have Jacob joining us, but he may be out on the prowl, if you know what I mean. We'll see if he jumps in here. Looks like Emilio just landed in Knoxville, so he obviously won't be on the show. That jet lag's a real thing when you're starting, stopping about 4 times, Tim. So
I believe it. And you're changing time zones too. You know, you're losing an hour on top of it. And it's been a hell of a ride. I hope you guys get some rest at some point for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'm gonna get out in the heat tomorrow, 80 degrees. Tomorrow night I'll be ready for a good night's sleep for sure. So appreciate everybody in the chat. I see it filling up. We got a herd of people in here already. I want to take a second and just thank everybody too for supporting the channel. We had astronomical numbers this weekend, and to me that was the payoff. That and talking to people in the chat and just talking about the draft and everything we're excited about. But to see the numbers boost like they have and the subs and everything, it really does make it worth it to put in the work that we did this weekend, because it was a grind. And I've had a ton of people reach out like, man, thank you guys so much. So evidently, Tim, we were live just about as often or maybe more often than anyone in terms of Packers podcasts that were actually at the draft. But I loved it, man. There was nothing better than going over there and hanging out at Lambeau, hanging out the draft, 10-minute ride back to the house. Hey, let's go live and talk about what happened today. I could get used to that. And that's why we're looking at obviously purchasing up there in Green Bay to have kind of a home base there for sure. So again, just want to say thanks to everybody in the chat, everybody hearing my voice on the podcast. Ryan for coming up, making the trip. It was so cool meeting him and his family.
Yes.
I said that kind of like Brian Kelly did, and his family. But no, Mandy was ready to snatch his little girl up, man. They were 2 peas in a pod. So
that's awesome.
It was just, it was absolutely just an awesome weekend, man. Emilio, Jacob on the stream with it. It felt like Jacob was there with us,
It really did. It really did. And really big shout out to Jacob too, man, for kind of holding down the command center for us when we had a little bit of tech issues and things like that. It was really good. It was like he was in our hip pocket the whole time, and glad he could share in this, even though he wasn't physically there with us.
Definitely. And again, you guys are welcome. I see the thank yous and everything, and I got a couple texts just now, as a matter of fact. But listen, this isn't work. This is fun, man. This is what you think about when you wake up in the morning, and when you're laying down at bed at night. I'm thinking, what are we going to do tomorrow on the show?
Yep.
It's something that it's filled a void in my life. I know that. And it's absolutely awesome. So
well said, Clay. I really appreciate everything you did too for the group and everything, man.
Absolutely.
Hard work is one thing, but just the kindness and generosity you've shown to all of us it was just amazing, man. So thank you guys, you and Mandy, for all you did.
Nah, it's my pleasure, man. Again, along with the chat and you guys, people spend their whole life searching to be a part of something and find like-minded people that you can kind of lift each other up and have a good time and enjoy whatever it is you enjoy doing. So it was definitely my pleasure, man. And right back at you. If you guys could have seen the stuff that Tim unpacked and brought into the house to make the stream happen, this dude looked like I was like, man, this guy used to work for ESPN or something. Like, what's going on here? It was awesome. I'm over there with a microphone and a camera. Like, I think we can do this. And Tim's stretching out cords and adapters and everything else. And Jacob's used to using different adapters at his workplace. But Jacob, how you doing tonight, man? What's going on?
Man, I'm good. I am a little bit in a food coma. I ate way too
Yeah.
much. I took a nap and woke up late. Here I am. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited about the UDFAs. I'm really excited to look at the whole picture. It was what a weekend. It was great.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Got a little sun, man. Got my first little burn in. Forgot the hat on Sunday, or on Saturday. Today's Sunday. Gosh, I don't even know what day it is anymore, guys. But no, it was nice, and we got the full gamut of the Wisconsin weather experience too for all the out of towners, man. You got some cool air, and then you got some rain, and then you got a beautiful day to close it out. It was amazing.
Yeah, and just one little last bit of housekeeping here before we get into the content tonight. We got an awesome show on tap. I'm really excited to dive into these undrafted free agents and talk a little Mark Murphy and everything in between. But I want to give a shout out to our newest Patreon members. Let me make sure I don't leave anyone out here. We'll go back just a touch here. I can't remember where we left off last time, but Doug Fox, Papa Smurf, right? Papa Smurf just got the yearly subscription. Appreciate you supporting.
Nice.
Yeah, Big Guy 8696 with the 450 tier. Appreciate you, Alan Nineman. We also have Michael D. Sullivan with the 450 tier. Tony Holman, all right, he's in here. Not Tom Holman, but Tony Holman. Appreciate you supporting. And we got to meet Teapot, the Power of Cheese. She actually just did a yearly subscription to the Patreon group as well. And man, what an amazing person she was. Mandy said it when we were going to leave. She's like, I really liked her. He's like, she was like, she you could tell she is a genuine person. Sometimes you talk to people, nobody in our group, you know what I mean? You just get kind of I know exactly what Mandy was talking about. I felt like we've known her forever. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Made the trip all the way up from Chicago too. That was amazing.
Definitely. And also a shout out to Elijah Gwynn, who got the yearly membership as well. Now I want to say we're going to be doing a giveaway here soon. Yeah, that's right. Give him a round of applause. Here soon, we're going to be doing a giveaway for a couple of yearly memberships to the Patreon group that were gifted from United Baits and Mountain Man Pack. And I think what I'm going to do is promote the YouTube channel on Twitter and just say, hey, anybody who retweets this and subs to the channel, that qualifies you to go into a contest to actually win one of those memberships. So, again, United Baits and Mountain Man Pack supporting the show in that regard. Also, wanted to mention real quick, Do You Rant and Jerry Weiss Corbley, we've got a tie on the mock draft contest. And, I didn't want to try to put it up in the air like which one's more impressive, picking the 23rd pick, which Jerry Weiss Corbley knocked it out of the park with Matthew Golden, or Do You Rant at pick 250, picking John Williams. So what I thought we would do is put them both on the wheel tonight as we wrap up the show, spin it. Whoever it lands on will get the autographed Javon Buller jersey. And then whoever it doesn't land on, we will give an autographed rookie Bo Melton card to. So we'll just go that route. If that sounds good to you guys. So we'll do that. Now, Jacob, you got anything you want to lead off here with before we jump into the content this evening, man?
Oh, man, I don't know what you guys have covered so far in my little time away, but I was really blown away by Baron Sorrell and how emotional he was and just the way that he seemed. It was really weird, too, because I've seen interviews with him, and he just seems like he's Rashawn Gary reincarnate. Like everything from the humbleness, the attitude, kind of asking him why he didn't have more production in college. And he said, that's not what they asked me to do. They wanted me to set the edge. They wanted me to play the run. And had I had more opportunity to pin my ears back, I think I would have had more production. Seems like he comes from a great family. I mean, every single thing about him just screamed that he was a Packer. And then him having the patience and the fortitude to stick it out, being there on day 3, even when the Packers didn't even know he was there. Him and Goodell building a relationship, everything about it was really, really cool.
I think that was awesome. He just made the trip on his own, right? Probably just wanted to experience it, and lo and behold, he gets drafted. What a beautiful moment, right?
Definitely. Daryl in the chat says Baron Sorrell had 23 and a half sacks in his collegiate career. If that's accurate there, Daryl, that's pretty decent numbers, isn't it, fellas? I mean, that's not bad at all.
Yep.
Considering you probably played 4 years. So good stuff there. Appreciate that. Got a super chat from SDN40. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, Clayton, got to give us your favorite things about your trip. Heck, even your least favorite. Man, that's a good question. My favorite thing about the trip was definitely the people. you know, you got Lambeau there. You got, you know, oh my God, the cheese curds at Hinterland were unbelievable. It was just, you know, the going to 1919 Kitchen and Tap, getting a little touch of that elk stroganoff and everything in between, and just taking in the whole draft. There was just so much. But honestly, and you probably think I'm BSing here, STM40, but I'm being honest, man. Meeting everybody, you know, meeting Mike Hebring and meeting Brambo, and I know I'm going to leave people out here. Mike Berry, it was awesome getting to chat with him, and catching up with Mary, who's a follower on Twitter and someone that I've gotten to know a little bit. She ran me down in the parking lot, and she's just awesome. She helps donate and run a nonprofit to people who are on the spectrum, and we're going to tie that into a charity here soon. It was cool running into them, and oh my God, Trucker John! How can I forget about Trucker John?
So cool to meet him, right?
Yeah, and you know, just again, it was the people, man. None of that means anything if you're there by yourself. You could go to that venue, stand in front of that stage, or go to 1919 Kitchen and Tap, or go wherever, right? And that Packer Hall of Fame was awesome. But if you go there by yourself, man, God put something in us that's everything's meant to be shared with other people, experienced with other people, or else it don't mean near as much. So that would be my answer. STM40. I appreciate the super chat, man. My least favorite is probably Emilio giving me hell all weekend long.
And say Emilio
because it was like every time I went, I think I'm gonna head back to the house and do a live stream. He goes, "This guy right here," oh, he gets so upset. and God forbid the old man here have to take a nap every now and again, right?
Right.
Nah, but I'm kind of, that's tongue in cheek. I'm playing around there, but I can't think of a least favorite thing, Tim, to be honest with you, other than calling some dinosaurs on night 2 there. That was rough at 3 a.m., but we won't talk about that. So anyway, yeah.
I think for me, mine was just not getting picked to kick a field goal on Lambeau Field. I'll get over it someday. I was hoping I'd get selected and put one through the uprights, but I think I would agree with you, man. I think my favorite was just meeting people. Never thought that we'd get stopped at random as much as just walking around and people saying hello. I got stopped on my way back to the car walking through the neighborhood just randomly. And it's just incredible, man. And really the people is what it was all about. I think icing on the cake would be getting to see Emilio and Jordan experience the Packer Hall of Fame for the first time. You know, them getting to come up for a game a couple years ago and kind of having to get in and out of town really quick and not really getting to see the whole shebang at 1265. That was cool, especially the look on Emilio's face when he walked into that trophy room. I won't forget that anytime soon. So I think those are my favorites for sure.
Definitely was awesome. Drew D here, Jacob. He says least favorite for him. I think he was saying Emilio having his own backup plate of cannolis. He's saying that might have been. I think you're right, Drew. That pissed me off.
Yeah, and that wasn't a backup. That was the primary plate. It was just Emilio was just hogging it.
Put it around the screen. Yeah, I'm like, that's where the cannolis went? What the crap? And shout out to Greg Capel. I hope I'm saying the last name right. It might be Capel, but dropping by just randomly with the tastiest cannolis on the face of the earth.
Oh, yeah. All the way up from Menasha. That was incredible. Thank you.
Unbelievable. One more question here, and we'll get into the content. I know people are like, hey, I came to listen to Packers talk. I ain't coming to hear about your trip. So Chuck Jagger says, you see anyone cool? Not one. And I was kind of dreading going out to dinner because it is a swanky restaurant. And I'm kind of like, I'm a blue jean t-shirt, hoodie kind of guy. Yeah. And we had to, clean up a little bit. Had to take a shower that day. That sucked, right? But we went over to the Republic Chop House. And the reason I set it up is because every time I'm in Green Bay, if me and Mandy go out for a nice dinner, I go to Republic Chop House. Every time I've been there, every time. There's players there. There's somebody there like, I'll be damn, there's so-and-so. So we roll up in that joint, 6 deep. And out front on the sidewalk, Chuck, was Drew Rosenhaus, the super agent, been an agent in the league for over 30 years, maybe longer. Drew Rosenhaus having a conversation with Peter Schrager and Mike Greenberg, Greeny from Get Up on ESPN. They're just on the sidewalk talking. I was like, damn, there's Greeny. Like that was kind of cool, right? And we walked up and chatted with them for a second, talked a little draft. And then we go inside and the restaurant was just filled with people, man. every ESPN on-air personality you can think of, man. Laura Rutledge, you had Adam Schefter, you had Dan Orlovsky, everybody. Mina Kimes came in. They all had their own, table or whatever. And then over to our right is Maxwell Harrison, the Buffalo Bills first-round pick. He's sitting there having dinner with his family. Javon Bullard comes in. Drew Rosenhaus is sitting at a table with the gentleman. We didn't know who it was. No disrespect to him, no name. But now they're over there hanging out, and then all of a sudden Javon Bullard comes in and sits down. I quick Google search. That's right. Drew Rosenhaus is his agent.
Yep.
So they were there. Then Desmond Howard walks out of the back room, and Maxwell Harrison sprints over to him. He had to dap him up like, man, I'm a big fan. So Desmond Howard was hanging out in there. It was a place to be for sure. So there were multiple people like that we ran into. So
Coach
really
Saban, that was pretty cool, right?
Oh, yeah,
Coach Saban, that was day one, right? Yeah.
Coach Saban walking into Lambeau, and they kind of stop everybody from walking so he could cut across the path. And as he walks by, they're chanting, roll tide, roll tide. And I love it. He's holding that fedora-like hat, and he just kind of went and kept it moving. So it's moving in. So it was cool, man. Pat McAfee outside signing autographs in the piss-pouring rain. That was
what
awesome.
A cool moment, right? While we're sitting up in 1919 Kitchen and Tap, just having a little lunch, and he's right below us. That was amazing. Man of the people for sure. Shout out to Pat McAfee. That was awesome.
Definitely. And again, SDM40, thank you for that super chat, man. Let's jump into it here. Wes Hockowitz put a tweet out. I thought this was awesome. Says the best boss there is, the best boss there was, the best boss there ever will be. Mark had a vision and belief in this community to see it through. He takes no bows. Is that right? Bows?
Yep.
How would you say? Was it
no
bows?
bows, seeks no flowers.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, Mark H. Murphy is that dude.
He was the best guy around.
The Packers put out that tweet. He said, a weekend, 10 years in the making. All it says is, thank you, Mark. Man, Jacob, it doesn't happen without Mark Murphy, dude. And we talk all the time about how players, Aaron Rodgers having to step into the shoes of Brett Favre. And now Jordan Love stepping into the shoes of Aaron Rodgers. Well, Mark Murphy had to step into the shoes of Bob Harlan. Bob Harlan, guys, our Uber driver, 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, going to the airport this morning. This old dude, really, really cool, had some stickers on the back glass that I appreciated. We won't go into details, but we get in and chat with him, and we get to talk about Bob Harlan. I'm telling you, there's not a soul on the face of the earth that doesn't like Bob Harlan. But Jacob, what would you say about Mark Murphy here, man, and how, as we wrap up his tenure as acting CEO and president of the Packers, man?
Yeah, I mean, really, what more can you say? I remember, I think it was almost 15 years ago when I went to Lambeau with my whole family. We did the tour. They had just kind of done the renovation shortly before that. And don't get me wrong, Lambeau Field was beautiful then. It's always been beautiful. But I remember where I was standing, just kind of looking over the property, and that was still where, I mean, it is still, it's smack dab in the middle of a small little community. All of a sudden you just have this unbelievable stadium. But now when you look 15, 20 years later, even just from 10 years ago, it's like, I mean, it's its own community. It is unbelievable. If you have never been there, it went from being just obviously like iconic to just go see the stadium, to see that grass, to touch that field, to being an absolute, just I hate saying it's like a theme park because that makes it sound kitschy, but it's not. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so, they did such a good job, and they had such a thin line that they had to walk before making it kind of kitschy or turning it into like a Vegas or turning it into like just kind of a money grab. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like that the heart and soul, the authenticity of Green Bay somehow is still maintained while also expanding it into like a more modern era where you can have I mean, to say that the Green Bay Packers could have hosted the NFL draft 20 years ago, people would have laughed you out of the room. They would have laughed you out of the room. They didn't have the infrastructure.
Yeah. They would have said, where are you going to host it at? Kmart across the street?
Exactly. Piggly Wiggly.
I just think about it.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough credit, and I honestly don't think that there's a more humble person that I've seen in professional sports. He really doesn't seem like he gives a crap if he gets the credit. He just wants people to enjoy football, and I'll always respect him for that.
Well said, Jacob. Well said. I think my favorite memories of Mark Murphy are the handful of times I've ran across him at the facility or at a game, before a game, in the pro shop. I've seen him out for his morning jog at Titletown before, and as busy and hardworking of a man as he is, he always has time to stop and talk to people. And he will always take time to just talk a little ball or talk about the Packers with fans, anybody who he comes across, and really is a people person, like the definition of people person, man. Mark Murphy really knows, just how you talk about social IQ all the time, Clayton. This guy's got high social IQ, and an absolute integral part of the reason why we have Titletown development, why we had the draft this year. And I'll tell you, boys, I don't know about you, but after this weekend, I don't see a reason other than the weather that the Packers can't host a Super Bowl at Lambeau Field. I don't get it. We pulled off an event of this magnitude. A lot of it due to Mark Murphy and a lot of other people, but Mark Murphy especially at the forefront of pushing this through to prove that Green Bay could handle something of this magnitude. So you got to tip your cap to Mark Murphy for sure.
Definitely. Do You Rant says that announcement of Matthew Golden by Murphy still gives me chills every time I see it. And then like our Uber driver said this morning, he said, boy, Brian Gutekunst's comments stole the show for me when Goody said, yeah, that wasn't the name I gave to Mark Murphy. Like he just went up there and said, hell with it, I'm taking a receiver here. So that was a really, really cool moment. Mike Avery says, well said, Jacob. Mark has killed it. Appreciate the super chat there, Mike. Good meeting you this weekend, buddy. That was awesome. And meeting your better half as well was really, really cool. So let's see here. I like what Drew D says. This is the best send-off a Packer has ever had. So true. So true, man.
I agree. It's up there for sure.
SDM40, this is the story that the guy was talking about, the Uber driver was talking about this morning too. He said Harlan went door to door to talk people about getting that sales tax passed. Fans don't realize how close the Packers were to the tipping point. Yep. So, and I remember the Bob Harlan, this was his words too. He said that somebody was pushing back on it. He said, well, it's Sunday in the fall. What are you going to do on a Sunday after church? And he said, well, we're going to watch the Packers. Great. We appreciate your vote. And he walked off. Like that's what you've got going here. That's what's on the line, right? So, yeah. United Bates says, Tim, what did your dad or uncle call Kmart? You mentioned it before.
Oh, that's my Uncle Mike. Shout out to my Uncle Mike. He called it Came Apart. That was
anything you bought came apart, right? I just remember, Jacob, I remember as a kid the Kmart back home. And what I always think about when I think of Kmart is I think of dirty floors and the smell of cigarette smoke in the store. That's what I think about. It was just,
hey, man.
It was awesome.
Kmart was back in the day. I'm not saying I did this, but if you were a young kid and you were looking to steal CDs, you would steal them. You wouldn't steal them from Walmart because Walmart edited their CDs. Kmart, however, they let the Fs fly. Nobody was editing music in Kmart. So I'm just saying, if you were a young boy and you were looking to,
I'm not saying I did it. I'm just saying some people may have done it.
I'm saying I got DMX, flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. All right. I was the coolest sixth grader around.
I bet the teachers loved you, Jacob. I bet they
did not.
Clint, armchair quarterback says they said it was the second highest crowd behind Detroit last year. I didn't know where it ranked, but I know they cracked 600,000 people. The big thing was hearing all the media members talk about like they ranted and raved over how Green Bay just did it up right. And to me, it's not about the amount of people, it's what's the quality of the product you put out there. And let's be honest, there's way more people in Detroit than there is Green Bay, right? Yeah. And you got to kind of go out of the way to get to Green Bay as opposed to, Detroit being a little more centrally located, if that's the right way of saying it. So regardless, man, yeah, they ain't got – I will say this, another cool moment for who it was, I think it was SDM40, another cool moment for me. Day 3 was my favorite by far because we just got to kind of hang out, right? Yeah. It didn't feel like we were working that day. But we're like, hey, let's go up to the top of Arians Hill and get a picture. This is before Tim came over and met up with us. So we go to the top of the hill, and I get up there at the top, and there's a couple of Lions fans. And watching them, I literally just watched them the whole time, and they were leaned up over on the side of the banister just kind of taking it all in. And I remember – one guy in a Lions uniform, in a Lions jersey, go, man, this is awesome. Just looking at what Mark Murphy had built here in Titletown. It was cool. It was just like that's better than a W on Sunday right there. Seeing him damn, I wish we had this. It was cool.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I got that sentiment too from all these different fans from all these other fan bases while we were there. I mean, everybody was really kind. There was none of that. We're all rivals, and you talk a little trash, right? Sometimes things get heated. There was none of that. I witnessed none of that. I witnessed a lot of green and gold, a lot of Packer fans, but fans of these other franchises, man, were just I don't know, in awe, like you said, Clayton, kind of dumbstruck a little bit. I think I said it to you guys offline before. It's like, I don't care who you root for, who your favorite team is. Most people who know ball, when they come to Lambeau Field, you bow down at the throne, man. You're at the cathedral of professional football, and it's something special no matter who you cheer for. And it was cool to see that, on display, for 3 days in a row, just getting to see people experience Lambeau in Titletown. It was amazing.
Dude, it's always like that too. Clayton, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were at Lambeau for the Rams game years ago, we were randomly walking down the strip on the way to the stadium, and there was two dudes in Bears jerseys that were just hammered as hell, and they're like, "This is awesome, look at this." And I was like, "Can I get a beer?" And he's like, "Hell yeah." And he threw us a beer, and I was like, "Why are there Bears fans here? We're playing the Rams." There were just two Bears fans walking around just taking it in, having a great time. It's like everybody, like Tim said, once you get there, it's just like you recognize it where you are, and it's just a special place to be. It's awesome.
I saw an article in the Press Gazette today, and they were talking about the numbers and everything. And the thing that really stood out to me is the 3-day total, of people that were ejected, like kicked out of the draft experience, was 8. You had 600,000 people over 3 days. 8 people were asked to leave.
4 of them were me.
And you had one person arrested for being an idiot or something, right? I mean, that is just, you have to tip your cap to, Brown County law enforcement, City of Green Bay law enforcement, our armed forces that were there. The security apparatus around the entire NFL draft was just unbelievable. It was a safe environment. Everybody had a good time. And there were literally next to no problems whatsoever. And so not only did Green Bay pull this off, they pulled it off with flying colors, and it was absolute chef's kiss perfection.
It's going to sound like I'm making a joke. It's not. It's because Wisconsinites honestly know how to hold their booze. Like, I swear to God, if you have this in any other town, just on sheer factor of people getting too drunk and just acting a fool, Wisconsinites do a couple things well: football, food, and beer. All right, we know what we're doing.
I'll say this, man. It was way more of a family atmosphere, though. The kids running around, and that was the part that was really, really cool. Sitting in the bowl and hearing the kids behind us chant "Go Pack, Go!" just randomly while the draft's going on. Just like, man, they're raising them right. It was awesome. Drew D says with the super chat, thank you so much, buddy. He says the animal rescue did an on your honor donation for parking in their lot. We raised $2,130 for animals this weekend. Thanks, everyone. That's absolutely awesome.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Again, man, there's no place like it. It's great, man. Everybody just helping each other out. That's good stuff, Drew. It was good meeting up with you, buddy. Good to see Loki. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool. What a moment, right?
Yeah, definitely. Biz1987 with the super chat says, favorite thing about Lambeau, we may hate your team, but we still want you to have a good time, and we hold our booze. There you go. That pretty much sums it up. Right there.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Appreciate the super chat, Biz. All right, let's so again, that's just wanted to hit on Mark Murphy there, that message that came out from the Packers. That's just like Drew said, I think it was Drew in the chat that said it's just a perfect send-off for Mark Murphy for sure. So this came across the wire. I think it was earlier today, right? I think we were about to board a plane in Charlotte, maybe. And I seen it came across and was like, I wonder what this means. I want to get your all's take on it. Isaiah Simmons. Now, listen, I'm going to be very clear here. I don't think Isaiah Simmons is a great football player. I'm not going to BS anybody. Now, could Hafley pull the best out of him? That's possible. When he was being drafted, and I remember Ryan talking about this the other day, and it's so true. They were saying he could play any position on the field. He could play edge rusher. He could play stack backer. He could play corner. He's that athletic. and he has not been a good football player since he's gotten to the NFL. But with that being said, they had him in on a visit, right? And listen, if it makes the team better, great. You know, you guys know how I feel about it. No matter who they sign, they could sign. I can't think of a random name right now. They could sign anybody. I'm getting behind it, and hopefully they pan out. I don't understand the people that would rather be right than root for their favorite team, and that's typically how some of the fans fan. But you see the emoji here. He's got like a box set up, a trap set up with a piece of cheese underneath it. What does this mean here, guys? How are y'all taking that? I'm really stupid when it comes to this witty stuff here, but all he posted was a cheese emoji with a stick holding up a box like he's ready to trick something into grabbing the cheese. Is he saying they're trying to get him to sign? What do you take away from this, Jacob? What am I missing here, man?
I feel like it was an attempt at humor, but like you just said, when you try to sit and think about it, now does that mean we're trying to trick him? Is he assuming that he's getting tricked? He's going to get trapped? I don't think he quite thought it out. I think it means that the cheese is going to get him. That's Holmes. That's a rat trap. That's what I'm trying to say. Who's the rat? I don't know. Like you said, man, do I think it's going to be a massive signing if true that's going to sway the outcome of our team? No. Right. Have we seen seemingly guys that had no career or was plateauing in their career come to Green Bay and all of a sudden turn into all pros? Yeah, we've actually seen that recently. With Campbell, you could argue with a number of guys when we brought in X and I'm sorry, not X, but God, why can't I think Z? When we brought in guys like Z that really hadn't performed ever, and all of a sudden they come here and they have career years. The Campbell, obviously, the cornerback that went to the Bills that Tim loved. Why can't I think of his name right now? Rasul. I mean, I'm interested, obviously, especially if we don't pay the guy much money. He comes in and who knows? He was a first-round draft pick for a reason. I think he went pretty high too, wasn't he? Like 8th overall or something like that.
Top 10 pick. I'm almost positive. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm with the group that we have right now, sure, bring him in and see if we can see what Hafley can do.
You were right on the nose with that eighth overall pick 2020 draft. Yep.
Yeah.
The thing I do like about him, and I'll just say this, and it has nothing to do with football playing ability. The guy does not miss games. I mean, this guy he's available. So if anything, he's a guy that you're not going to worry about sitting on IR. I mean, you just look at the past few seasons, man, 16, 17 games, 17 games, 17 games, 17 games. So can stay healthy. I guess he's got that going for him, right?
I remember, too, that was one of the big feathers in his cap. He grades out real well on special teams, if I'm not mistaken.
We could always use that, for sure.
No kidding. Yep.
All right. Good stuff. Something else that came across the wire here I wanted to hit on real quick. If you're and I know we don't have anybody to listen to this, that's a threshold. Can't use that word. Let me think of a word I'm allowed to use on YouTube. The threshold police on Twitter. You guys ever put a mock draft out or say, man, I really like this player? And they go, this some rando who thinks he's a draft expert jumps in and go, well, he doesn't meet the threshold. Okay, well, Baz put an interesting tweet out here. He says, one very important note from the 2025 Packers draft. They hopped off the traditional thresholds multiple times. Shorter, lighter wide receiver early, larger O-lineman, smaller edges with 34-inch less than 34-inch arms, smaller edges with larger than 34-inch arms, and smaller, lighter cornerbacks. So it seems like they may have fudged a little bit on the whole threshold, idea. I think it's important to mention the thresholds, but again, I would never be that person that says they won't draft someone because of it, because they have drafted them in the past. There is precedent for it. If you want to say it's highly unlikely, okay, great. It's also highly unlikely that they land a wide receiver in the first round, but they did that this year, right? So I don't know. You guys got a take on that. I thought that was very, very well put together there by Baz, who's obviously constantly studying the Packers and the game of football here.
Yeah, if you listen to Ryan's podcast, I believe from this morning, he kind of touched on those as well. Everybody that's screaming from the rooftops, "You'll never do that!"
Right?
It's it dumped a real nice cold glass of water in their face, and honestly, we did so much preparation for this draft, and we do it every year. So, like you said, we have to look at thresholds and understand where there are patterns. But for us to sit here and be like, they'll never do that, and then you'd be surprised at how confident people are on, especially the keyboard warriors, when you pose a scenario and you would have thought that you did something to their mind. You know what I mean? Like, they get personally offended. They go after you. They absolutely try to drag you through the dirt. And it's like, okay, well, now that we had a whole draft full of that theory kind of blown up in your face, it's like, hopefully, I would hope that going into a different season that everybody would maybe eat a little slice of humble pie and understand that they're not Mel Kiper, that they're not an expert.
Who in the hell is honestly, Mel Kiper, anyway?
Oh, man, what a drop. What a drop.
It just, I think we all need to, and I've been guilty of having certain, thinking a certain way is almost automatic. I've got to, work better on not doing that. But I think that this draft should definitely open up people's eyes just a little bit. Just a little.
A little bit. And I'll say this about Mel Kiper. Boy, he got raked over the coals this weekend, let me tell you, because I don't know if you guys seen his rant, his screaming take there when Shedeur Sanders was falling. He said, and I'm not, you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I don't think I'm exaggerating here. He basically said, no one in the league has been able to properly scout quarterbacks for the last 50 years. And I was like, what? And then someone immediately started pulling the receipts of all the quarterbacks that he's locked over the years that ended up being absolute busts. It was just like, Mel, watch those waters, buddy. You might want to get back on that plane. As you guys know, that's another person we've seen.
You learn your lesson from Jamarcus Russell, right? I mean, come on.
Cool. As soon as we got on the plane, there was old helmet hair hanging out in the front row. I mean, damn, there he is. Mandy pointed it out, and then afterwards, she pointed it out when we got on the plane, and I pulled up a picture of him. She said, "That's him," and I was like, "No way." Then we get off the plane. Sure enough, I'm like, "That's Mad Mel. There he is. Mel Kiper." So, but yeah, he was one of those dudes that just thought Shedeur Sanders hung the moon, and I think Deion hurt his boy pretty bad. You go back to 2024 earlier last year, and he's literally on a podcast on video saying, there's only a handful of teams I'll let my boys play for. And you may think, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a protective dad. I got you. But there's nothing wrong with the teams going, well, hell, we ain't going to waste a pick on him if we don't know if he's going to play for us. Right.
And what do you mean by like let him play for, as if it's up to you? Right. It's kind of crazy. I mean, Deion holds power and influence, obviously, in a lot of ways, right? And you have to respect the guy for the careers that he had as a professional. But yeah, I think he probably did more damage than help for his sons in this draft, I think.
Yeah. I just think it's a shame because I don't know, man. Like you said, you'd hate to ever. I don't have a kid, Hopefully someday maybe I will, but I would hate that feeling of knowing that my ego, I don't know if you want to call it a drive to get attention, whatever you want to call it, ended up drastically impacting the career of my kid. And then to not show any remorse over it. And then to have all these pundits go up and be like, I've never seen grown men that sit there and whine on TV and think that like we got to give them the flowers and really be like that we're supposed to clap for grown men getting emotional about this and that, when it's like, dude, you shot yourself in the foot and now you're trying to blame other people. And it's just the most, like, you can't tell me that if you're in a 53-man squad, that's the guy that you want as the leader, the guy who's daddy, you know what I mean? It's such a bad look. And I don't feel like a leader of men, that's not the way you go into getting into the NFL and have guys respect you. It's just not. It's not.
Yeah. Coach Lynn says Shedeur Sanders did not help himself either in the draft process.
Right.
It's a great point, man. There was all the reports coming out where he did not take the interview process serious. He was kind of too cool for school, sitting in the back of the room, didn't answer some of the questions, kind of answered them nonchalant, all this stuff coming out obviously afterwards. But we had him high on our board because we had him high on our board. You guys know that's not a personal assessment from any of us. That's taking in the information of people that we trust and we respect. And it's just a perfect example of the best at predicting the draft, the best at covering the draft, the best at studying the draft. They get it wrong too. They do, because you're not in those war rooms. You're not sitting with the GMs and the head coaches and the scouting department behind the scenes, So again, I think it's just a father's going to defend his son. I get it. But at some point, you've really got to look up and go, okay, am I actually helping or am I hurting? And if the goal, if you can't 100% say, no, I'm definitely helping him, then it's your ego that's in the way. You're the one, you're trying to make it about you and not about your son. I could see that being an issue. And again, I'm not telling anybody how to father. I don't have a damn clue how to be a dad, but I may act the same way. I might have been worse, but from the outside looking in, if you're one of those dudes, I'm just telling you, it doesn't look good. And I always say, give the player grace. Now, Shedeur, he removed that opportunity. You know, there's some people that they don't like Christian Watson's dad. We follow each other on Twitter. I've never had a bad word with him, but I've also not got overly emotional after a football game, jumped in his Twitter feed and talked trash about his son. I don't do that. I've got a rule on this pod. If I wouldn't say it to somebody's face, I ain't gonna say it on the pod, because that's just chicken. You know what? That's all that is. I'm not gonna do it. But the thing about Christian, you never see Christian respond, right? So why would anybody hold his father's opinion against him? His dad owns his opinion. There's no two ways about that. The way he feels, he lets you know that's how I feel, and he stands on it. But you never hear anything from Christian. So why root against his son? Because, you know, you might disagree with his father. So, and again, I think people's parents, man, they care about the kids. You know, they're going to defend them. That's what cracked me up is when his brother and his sister jumped on there and started going off on fans because they were bad mouthing, calling their brother soft and this and that. Like, I don't blame them. You call one of my family members soft, I'm probably that weirdo going to try to find your address, to be honest with you. Like, that stuff, that ain't nothing to play around with. Like, don't be an internet tough guy. That's the moral of the story, I guess. So just, I don't know. And again, Packer fans think, I don't know if it's not just Packer fans, but it's all fans. I don't know if they think they're cool. I don't know if they think it makes them look tough or what. One of all, it doesn't make you look tough. It shows how insecure you are. And two, you're not helping the team. You think other players aren't looking at that and going, damn, I ain't going there, a bunch of jackasses. Like, that's what players are thinking. They're not thinking, boy, I really want to sign up for that program. You know, thank God there's way, way, way more great Packer fans than there are all those handful of knuckleheads who think they know more than a general manager. So,
absolutely. And most of the toughest talkers are, you know, softer than baby food in real life. So we know it's just a big, big facade.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, want to give a shout out before we get into the undrafted spotlight, the undrafted free agent spotlight. This is going to be awesome. There's some dandies in here, but I know Jacob's probably excited about this. This is the bargain bin, right, Jacob? And there's some good football players. I want to give a shout out to Easton Butler, who we got to meet this weekend as well. Awesome dude. That was a great moment. Also got to meet Jeff Hagan, I think is the last name. We follow each other on Twitter. Just a salt of the earth guy. I was there with his grandson. What a great, great human being. So that was an absolute honor too. But anyway, Easton Butler, he was where I got this list of undrafted free agents from. So I definitely want to give him a shout out here. We're going to hit that on the other side for hour 2. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you over there for undrafted free agent talk. We appreciate y'all.